Classification societies of shipping industry. We all know when a ship owner, either directly or through an agent, undertakes to carry goods by sea or to provide a vessel for that purpose, the arrangement is known as a contract or freightment. In this lesson, we will study Classification Society, standards published by Classification Society, and the role and responsibility of Classification Society. After going through this presentation, you should be able to explain Classification Society, discuss the classification rules, state the role and responsibility of Classification Society, and describe flags of convenience. A classification society is a non-governmental organization in the shipping industry, often referred to as class. It establishes and maintains standards for the construction and classification of ships and offshore structures, supervises that construction is according to these standards, and carries out regular surveys of ships in service to ensure the compliance of these standards. Classification societies are organizations that establish and apply technical standards in relation to the design, construction, and survey of marine-related facilities, including ships and offshore structures. A vessel that has been designed and built to appropriate rules of a society may apply for a certificate of classification from that society. The society issues this certificate upon completion of relevant classification surveys. It is an attestation only that the vessel is in compliance with the standards that have been developed and published by the society issuing the classification certificate. Classification is one element within a network of maritime safety partners. Other elements are parties such as the ship owner, the shipbuilder, the flag state, port states, underwriters, shipping financiers, and charterers, among others. The rules are published and known to all related groups such as yards, ship owners, ship suppliers, and flag state authorities, etc. The classification societies develops its own rules being recognized as state of technology. These rules are important for a safe and reliable transportation of cargo by sea and are generally called as the contribution to maritime safety. At Germanischer Lloyd rules, regulations, and guidelines are developed through extensive research and development (R&D). This is achieved by national and international research projects and Germanischer Lloyd's permanent involvement in scientific technical activities of many types. A high amount of investment is annually reserved for these R&D activities. The rules are further developed through the know-how and experience of engineers working at shipyards with marine suppliers and/or ship operators, and from the close feedback of worldwide network of surveyors. The main objective of the SOLAS Convention is to specify minimum standards for the construction, equipment, and operation of ships. The MARPOL Convention is the main international convention covering prevention of pollution of marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. The International Convention on Load Lines regulates the freeboard, which should ensure adequate stability and avoid excessive stress on the ship's hull as a result of overloading. The role of classification and classification societies has been recognized in the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, as an independent, self-regulating, externally audited body. A classification society has no commercial interests related to ship design, shipbuilding, ship ownership, ship operation, ship management, ship maintenance or repairs, insurance or chartering. In establishing its rules, each classification society may draw upon the advice and review of members of the industry who are considered experts in their field. Classification societies set technical rules, confirm that designs and calculations meet these rules, survey ships and structures during the process of construction and commissioning, and periodically survey vessels to ensure that they continue to meet the rules. Classification societies are also responsible for classing oil platforms, other offshore structures, and submarines. Classification surveyors inspect ships to make sure that the ship its components and machinery are built and maintained according to the standards required for their class. Classification societies also maintain significant research departments that contribute towards the ongoing development of appropriate advanced technical standards. A foreign flag under which a merchant vessel is registered for purposes of reducing operating costs or avoiding government regulations. A merchant ship is said to be flying a flag of convenience if it is registered in a country different to that of its owners for purposes of reducing operating costs or avoiding government regulations which encourage safety and discourage the exploitation of mariners. The closely related term open registry is used to describe an organization that will register ships owned by foreign entities. The term flag of convenience has been used since the 1950s and refers to the civil ensign a ship flies to indicate its country of registration. The country of registration determines the laws under which the ship is required to operate and that are to be applied in relevant admiralty cases. The advent of open registers or flags of convenience has led to competition between classification societies and to a relaxation of their standards. Flags of convenience have lower standards for vessel, equipment, and crew than traditional maritime countries and often have classification societies certify and inspect the vessels in the registry instead of by their own shipping authority. This made it attractive for ship owners to change flag, whereby the ship lost the economic link and the country of registry. IACS can trace its origins back to the International Load Line Convention of 1930 and its recommendations. The convention recommended collaboration between classification societies to secure maximum uniformity as possible in the application of the standards of strength upon which freeboard is based. A technical review of the design plans and related documents for a new vessel to verify compliance with the applicable rules and attendance at the construction of the vessel in the shipyard by a classification society surveyor and at the relevant production facilities that provide key components such as the steel, engine, generators and castings to verify that the vessel is constructed in accordance with the classification rules. Upon satisfactory completion of the above, the ship's owner's request for the issuance of a class certificate will be considered by the relevant classification society and, if deemed satisfactory, the assignment of class will be approved and a certificate of classification issued. Once in service, the owner must submit the vessel to a clearly specified program of periodical class surveys carried out on board the vessel to verify that the ship continues to meet the relevant rule conditions for continuation of class. The classification rules are designed to ensure an acceptable degree of stability, safety, environmental impact, etc. Classification notations assigned to a ship are indicated on the certificate of classification as well as in the register of ships published by the society. The main class symbol expresses the degree of compliance of the ship with specific rule requirements regarding its construction. The construction mark, when assigned, identifies the procedure under which the ship and its main equipment or arrangements have been surveyed for initial assignment of the class. The service notations when assigned define the type and/or service of the ship which has been considered for its classification. A ship may be assigned several different service notations. In such case, the specific rule requirements applicable to each service notation will have been complied with. Some classification societies define limiting areas for navigation, for example high seas, coastal waters, and sheltered waters, and or limiting environmental conditions for certain types of ships and marine structures. When assigned, an additional class notation gives details of additional equipment or specific arrangements which have been specially requested by the owner. Class is assigned to a ship upon the completion of satisfactory surveys undertaken in order to check compliance with the rules of the society at the time of new building. Specific procedures apply when an existing ship is transferring from one class society to another. The surveys are to be carried out in accordance with the relevant class requirements in order to confirm that the condition of the hull, machinery, equipment, and appliances is in compliance with the applicable rules. The classification of a ship is based on the understanding that the ship is loaded, operated, and maintained in a proper manner by competent and qualified crew or operating personnel. Where the conditions for the maintenance of class are not complied with, class will be suspended, withdrawn, or revised to a different notation as deemed appropriate by the society when it becomes aware of the condition. The ship may lose its class either temporarily or permanently. The society will withdraw the class of a ship when requested by the owner. The class has been suspended for more than 6 months. The ship is reported as a constructive total loss and the owner does not give his intentions to repair the ship for reinstatement of class. The ship is reported lost and the ship will not trade further as declared by its owner. A certificate of classification bearing the class notations assigned to the ship and an expiry date is issued to all classed ships. A certificate of classification properly endorsed is valid until the expiry date unless advised otherwise by the society or there are no grounds for suspension or withdrawal of class. When annual and intermediate surveys are satisfactorily completed, the certificate of classification is endorsed for the periodical surveys. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. The main objective of the SOLAS Convention is to specify minimum standards for the construction, equipment, and operation of ships. Right or wrong? Right. The International Convention on Load Lines regulates the freeboard, which should ensure adequate stability and avoid excessive stress on the ship's hull as a result of overloading. Right or wrong? Right. A classification society is a private company in the shipping industry. Right or wrong? Wrong. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. A classification society is a non-governmental organization in the shipping industry, often referred to as class. It establishes and maintains standards for the construction and classification of ships and offshore structures, supervises that construction is according to these standards, and carries out regular surveys of ships in service to ensure the compliance with these standards. Classification societies set technical rules, confirm that designs and calculations meet these rules, survey ships and structures during the process of construction and commissioning, and periodically survey vessels to ensure that they continue to meet the rules. The classification of a ship is based on the understanding that the ship is loaded, operated, and maintained in a proper manner by competent and qualified crew or operating personnel. The class issued to a ship indicates the condition of ship parts and hence also indicates the degree of safety in using the vessel for cargo shipping.